Good afternoon, everybody. This is Paul Ura, warning coordination meteorologist for the National Weather Service office here in New Braunfels, Texas, handling the Austin and San Antonio region. We'll get started with our 2 p.m. Sunday briefing on this winter event. As advertised, the Arctic front arrived last night and has pushed all the way down almost throughout the entire state now. The important updates to pass along: a winter weather advisory is in effect for pretty much almost all of South Central Texas. In addition to that, we just recently issued some hard freeze warnings as well as wind chill advisories, and those will be in effect all the way until Wednesday morning. And light precipitation has begun to fall. We have received multiple reports of very, very light sort of precipitation, maybe even some sleet across our northern region. But for the most part, I'll show you radar. It's still very, very light. We don't have any really good accumulations anywhere of anything. So I think everything is still on track for what we are kind of expecting. And the next briefing will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. So our main weather points: winter weather advisory is in effect. We sped it up a little bit. We officially kicked it off at noon today, and that's going to go all the way until noon tomorrow on Monday. Again, expect light freezing, drizzle, and rain. Accumulations up to 1/10 of an inch is possible. Many areas may receive much less than that, and it's plausible that a few areas could receive a little bit more than that. It's still a little bit unknown for the exact totals in this, but we do expect it to be overall a light precipitation event. Travel could get impacted, especially those bridges and overpasses. As you know, those go first when it comes to the ice kind of build up. We are well below freezing in most regions right now, so the temperatures in this go around in this sort of event are not going to be the issue. It's actually the precipitation. We still think that some of the highest totals, and even though they're still going to be light, some of the highest totals may be along and east of 35. I'll kind of show you again the radar, and of course we have had several reports of some of the light precipitation. The Arctic front and the Arctic cold will stay in place all the way through Wednesday, and thus again we have issued a wind chill advisory and a hard freeze warning. I'll talk about those here in a second until 10 a.m. Wednesday. We can have some areas, especially in the hill country and the northern portion of like the Austin metro area and the portions of Williamson County, that may stay below freezing all the way until Wednesday morning. Long periods of the course of below freezing temperatures like that can lead to a lot of water water pipes bursting, etc. So hopefully everybody heeded the warnings about the cold air temperatures coming, and they have gone out and prepared their pipes and so forth. Just little current conditions. Currently single digits and below zero actually in the Texas Panhandle. It is near 80 degrees in the Rio Grande Valley. So the front is just on the steps of making it all the way through Texas. The high pressure center actually remains to the north into the central and southern plains. And so that high pressure will continue to build down into the state over the next couple of days. And again, that's why we're just going to be in this ice box for quite a while. Current air temperatures kind of zoomed in over our region. We are still above freezing along the Rio Grande from 46 at Eagle Pass to around 39 in Del Rio. You can see out in the hill country, we're kind of in the lower to middle teens, lower to lower 20s in the hill country, the middle and kind of upper 20s along Interstate 35, and still kind of lower 30s across the coastal plains of Texas. So temperatures will continue to get colder, especially once the sun goes down. Current wind chills, pretty much teens everywhere across the northern half, basically almost kind of north of Interstate 10. We still have some 30s down across the Rio Grande Plains and down to the south. So definitely the cold air has come in, and it will stay here, like I said, for quite a while. Again, we have had some reports of some light precipitation. On the left here is a current radar loop that I just captured off. And you can see these very, very light sort of echoes kind of passing through South Central Texas, almost paralleling Interstate 35 and Highway 281. That's kind of what we've been getting for the last several hours. And I think that's where some of these light precipitation reports are coming from. There's even been, like I said, a couple of reports of some sleet, a little bit of some, what I would describe as like snow grain, some very, very small sort of flake kind of things. But for the most part, we're still expecting mainly a kind of freezing rain or freezing drizzle sort of event. Cloud cover remains extensive across all of the region, actually most of Texas. You can kind of see the front just off the Texas coast here. Of interest are kind of on the eastern periphery of kind of our region here, some of this cloud cover, there's a little bit more puffiness to it. There's a little bit more vertical development, and that's where some of these kind of little, I would say like weak kind of showers may kind of be forming over the next several hours across, especially the eastern half of the region. That again may lead to some of that precipitation actually maybe starting to glaze some of our elevated surfaces, et cetera. But we still think the main precipitation will occur after sundown, basically into the overnight hours into early Monday. So how much? We're still forecasting for kind of what we were for the last couple of days. The models really don't show a whole lot of us getting more than 1/10 of an inch. So that's 0.10. Typically that's very, especially when it comes to the roads and everything, there may be some buildup. The roads are still a little bit warm right now. It's going to take a little bit longer for below freezing temperatures to really cool them down to where even side streets could even have some effective ice. But as of right now, we're still expecting mainly the elevated bridges and surfaces to be the main threat of this. On the right-hand side, you can actually kind of see in purple, these are all the counties that have been added to the winter weather advisory. Again, started at noon today, and it's going to go all the way in through until noon on Monday. The reason why we issue winter weather advisories to let people know that we mainly are going to have hopefully some minor travel impacts. And again, as soon as you close down elevated bridges and overpasses, it kind of becomes travel chaos, especially in the big cities. But for the most part, as of right now, we think that the service roads and the side roads and stuff should remain very passable. Again, we're going to keep monitoring. We're going to be watching the webcams, the traffic cameras, all of that, getting intel on accidents. And if we have to upgrade to a possible winter storm warning for some counties, if they're getting in particularly maybe some heavier light rain or drizzle, then maybe we'll have to do that. But as of right now, we think the winter weather advisory is holding good. And so that's where we're going to go forward with the advisory. In addition, we have issued wind chill advisories, and particularly again for these counties highlighted on the far left, pretty much all of South Central Texas except for I would say the Rio Grande Plains and the Rio Grande area. We're expecting wind chills to be below 10 degrees. Maybe not all the time, but especially as the wind really kind of starts kicking in tomorrow, and then especially on Tuesday, we really kind of think that we're going to get widespread wind chills below 10 degrees, or basically single digits, and that's kind of our criteria for wind chill advisories. I will tell you that our criteria for a wind chill warning is below 0. So if we see some widespread wind chills dropping below 0, well, then we may upgrade this advisory for some regions and for some counties up to a warning. In addition to that, we are expecting a very hard freeze across all of the region for the most part, again, except for the Rio Grande as of right now. So the hard freeze warning is going to be in effect all the way through Wednesday morning. There are going to be some spots in here where we even get above freezing during the afternoons maybe on Monday and on Tuesday, which I'll show you on the maps. But for the most part, the overnight low temperatures will drop down very, very low, as you'll see on the forecast maps here in a second. So with that, we're going to be issuing hard freeze warnings. Again, the warning is there just for people to understand how significant this freeze is, especially to the pipes, and especially for the longevity of how long those freezing temperatures will last. Again, multiple days. Some areas may not get above freezing for multiple days, almost all the way up until Wednesday possibly. So thus the hard freeze warning has been issued. So kind of showed this yesterday. What are the chances of us or any region around here getting more than 1/10 of an inch of ice? As of right now, the probabilities still remain actually fairly low. You can kind of see in the green colors here, anywhere between 10 and maybe 30% is a plausible sort of possibility where we can get maybe some higher levels of some ice. But again, these percentages are still rather low. They have not really increased at all over the last couple of days. So the trend is either holding steady or actually some of those totals or the probability is actually going down. Northeast Texas, different story. They're probably going to get some much more significant ice than we are. But as of right now, the models just aren't kind of showing any sort of significant ice storm for us. They're kind of showing one of our typical sort of bouts with ice. So really, really briefly, going through the temperatures again. Tomorrow morning, you can see that all the area will primarily be below freezing. The majority of South Central Texas will be either in the teens or pretty much the low to mid 20s. High temperatures warming up. You can see the northern basically third of South Central Texas will likely remain below freezing, whereas others may get a few hours in the afternoon, especially if maybe there's a few breaks in the clouds, etc. Maybe some low to mid 30s, and then in the Rio Grande area, warming up into the 40s. For Tuesday, again, very, very low temperatures. Again, hard freezes. Temperatures mainly in the teens across much of the region. The warmest areas will be well to the south and along the Rio Grande, and even that's very cold, probably low to mid 20s. So really hard freeze on Tuesday morning. High temperatures again warming up. May see some full sun, so that'll allow some temperatures to rebound. Most areas should get right up to the freezing mark at least. Maybe a couple places in the hill country still staying below freezing. And then finally on Wednesday, again, this is still probably going to be between Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday may be the coldest. The high pressure will really settle in. The winds are going to be dropping off, kind of like perfect, what we just consider radiational cooling. You can see teens pretty much everywhere for all of South Central Texas. Good news is that with sun and with the high pressure eventually kind of moving off to the east, we should rebound and everybody will be above freezing then on Wednesday. So you can see high temperatures well into the 40s, and then again 50s for the Rio Grande. Minimum wind chills. Again, we're going to have wind chill advisories out pretty much all the way until Wednesday morning. However, if you want to look at when the worst conditions may be, so tomorrow morning, single-digit wind chills across much of the northern half of South Central Texas, basically north of Interstate 10, 20s elsewhere. From wind chill perspective, the coldest wind chills will likely be on Tuesday morning. So we should probably see as of right now the hill country with a lot of below zero wind chills in the morning. And again, if that comes to fruition, then I think we may have to upgrade some of these counties to a wind chill warning instead of just the wind chill advisory that we're going to be currently holding for the next several days. So again, continue to advertise this website, weather.gov/forecast points. Get hourly information for wherever you click on the map for your jurisdiction, the temperatures, the wind chills, the chances of rain, the chances of frozen precipitation, all the way out to 7 days in hourly increments. A great website to bookmark permanently on your computer so you can always check the latest forecast temperatures and all the different variables that we forecast for. Wrapping it up, main points again, winter weather advisory is in effect until noon tomorrow. That's because we're expecting some light freezing rain and drizzle, accumulations generally 1/10 of an inch or less. Plausible in some areas that we could get more. We're going to monitor it very, very closely, along with all the different ways of monitoring ground truth for winter weather, which includes storm spotters, the media, social media, webcams, all of that. Arctic cold, again, is going to be staying in through Wednesday. And so not only the winter weather advisory in effect, but also now wind chill advisory and also hard freeze warnings. The long periods of freezing temperatures are really some of the bigger issue right now, and that we historically have seen some of our plumbing issues and water pipe bursting during long periods below freezing. So again, very end, check the forecast frequently. We've had to make several updates already today based off current conditions. So that could maybe be what happens later on tonight and into tomorrow as well. So just keep checking. And then finally, preparedness graphics. Great graphics out there from the National Weather Service. I posted one already on the front page of this webinar, but this is a great website again to have moving forward. So final contact information, next briefing will be tomorrow, January 15th on Monday, again at 2 p.m. This is being recorded. I am again going to be sending out the recording and the slides to everybody that is not only registered, but to our big master partner email list. So if anybody has any questions, you can please type them in right now, and I will get to some of them. Will there be more briefings for the next front? As of right now, there is another Arctic front that is going to be coming in on probably, I think late Thursday, I think was the last thing I saw, or early Friday. As of right now, tomorrow is going to be our last briefing for this event. We will mainly be doing these briefings for the chance of frozen precipitation. If it remains mainly just kind of like a temperature issue, typically our situation reports and the forecast that we give out every day can usually handle that. So as of right now, tomorrow will probably be the last briefing on this event, and then we're going to stick to our situational reports. When you say morning minimum wind chills, at what time is that? Typically what we do is we take and I'll actually just kind of go back a couple of screens. So Monday minimum wind chill, what I did is I literally took the 24-hour period that basically goes from midnight to midnight, and I'm able to pick out the lowest wind chills during that 24-hour period. So that's where that forecast points database can really help you, Ron, if you want to really kind of see when the lowest wind chills will be, the time of that. That's where you can use that forecast points database and look at the hourly wind chill temperatures. Here, I just kind of captured the lowest total or the lowest temperature at some point during that 24-hour time frame. Can you remind us the wind speeds, please? Let me take a look real quick to see what kind of wind speeds we're actually expecting. Stand by. I'm just going to pick Austin for right now, just because I have that one up and running. So stand by. Wind speeds overnight tonight, not bad, anywhere between 10 or 15. The winds will be picking up tomorrow afternoon into the again 10 to 15 range, but they're really going to kind of increase mainly late Monday night into early Tuesday, where we'll get 15 to 20 mile per hour with gusts to probably even close to 30. So the winds won't be horrible over the next 24 hours, but by Monday night into early Tuesday, and again, that's kind of when we're expecting the lowest wind chills. That's kind of where our wind speeds will get bigger. But we're not expecting any sort of winds like we just had, gust over 50 or something. That's all gone. This is now just the Arctic air pooling in, and so they're very manageable. I don't even anticipate us having any sort of wind advisories out. It looks like we're below that sort of criteria. So it'll be breezy, especially Monday night and the first part of Tuesday. Okay, he was asking for MLK March tomorrow. So stand by. Let me go back up. I know we have marches everywhere, but let me get in particularly for San Antonio here. San Antonio winds tomorrow morning. Yeah, it's somewhere between 10 and 15 miles per hour, some gusts to maybe over 20. So definitely chilly. That's going to put our wind chills well into the teens during basically all tomorrow morning for a lot of the area for the marches. For our schools, what do travel impacts, if any, for Tuesday morning? The travel impacts are a little bit unknown. If in the scenario that we're forecasting right now, I wouldn't expect any travel impacts for Tuesday morning. Now, if there's a lot more freezing drizzle that happens, right, over the next 24 hours, and that then happens to stick around, then obviously there may be some travel impacts for Tuesday morning. But that's not our scenario that we're forecasting right now. So and obviously wind chills, may have to be considered for Tuesday morning for schools and stuff. But that'll be the district's decisions on what to do with there. But for the most part, we don't expect ice to be sticking around all the way until Tuesday, because we just don't think there's going to be that much. But again, checking the forecast frequently, we'll give you updates if any of that sort of changes. All right, last call for questions, because that looks like I've answered everything that's in there right now. Give about 10 or 20 more seconds. Okay, I don't see anything coming in. So thank you again for listening in on this Sunday. Again, we'll do it again tomorrow at 2 p.m. on Monday. And with that, stay warm, be prepared. And by far, if you are listening to this webinar and you get reports of some icing that is occurring, icing that is starting to accumulate on elevated surfaces and bridges and or even roads, please pass them along to us here at the National Weather Service, either via social media or on our chat room, or sending us an email to our partner email account, which is the sr-ews.alert@noaa.gov email. So thank you again for attending, and we will talk to you tomorrow.